we're going to start working on narrative writing. And we're going to talk about something called a personal narrative. A personal narrative is a story about you, about something that happened to you. So I have a poster here, and we're going to read the first one. It says, it's a story about something that really happened to you. So we don't want it to be something made up. It's something that really, truly happened to you.
The second thing we want to talk about with that story is we want to zoom in on a small part of your story. So this says, zoom in on a small moment from your life. So we're going to think of it as, we don't want the whole watermelon story. We want you to tell us about the seed. So for example, I could tell you about the time I went camping. Well, the watermelon story is my whole camping trip, right? How long it took us to get there, what we did when we got there, and I could go on and on about building the tent and the campfire. That's the watermelon. I don't want the watermelon. I want you to zoom in on the seed. And so I'm going to tell you about when I was making s'mores and my marshmallow caught on fire. And I have a whole huge story about what happened when it caught on fire. That's the seed. That's a small moment. That's the piece of writing that we want.
Okay, and I have another example. So maybe I have a whole story about getting my new bike and riding my bike around, but I really want to tell the story about when I was going down the hill and I hit a rock and I fell off my bike. That would be like the little details that we want to tell.
All right, so today we're going to start some narrative writing, and we're going to try to zoom in on one moment.
Okay, so you just learned about personal narratives. We're going to come up with some writing ideas for personal narratives. You know, a personal narrative has to be a true story about you, okay? So Mrs. Cushman has her writing journal here, and we're going to look at heart maps, treasure maps, memory hands, and our person, place, thing, and animal charts to get some of these ideas for our personal narratives.
All right, so I'm going to start, and I'm going to look at my heart map. And I think I could tell you a story about my mom's homemade bread, because my mom makes the most delicious homemade bread, and I could definitely tell you what it's like to be in the kitchen.
Okay. And I have an idea that came off of my heart map, and I think it came off my person, place, thing, animal map, and it is the shark story. And so it's a terrifying shark story that I can't wait for you to read.
Okay, I turned my page, and now I'm going to look at my memory hand, and I have a lot of feelings here. I think I would do one about being scared. I was almost in a car accident, so I would tell you about that.
Okay. And I have a story from my treasure map. I think I told you about my parents' lake house. So when I was little, I have a fishing pole story that involves my brother, and it did not end well. And so I want to tell you that story.
Oh no, I can't wait to hear that story. Okay, next I have my treasure map. And my treasure map, if you remember, I drew my parents' house where I grew up. And so there are two stories I could tell you. One was about my sister got a brand new moped, which is kind of like an electric scooter or a small little motorcycle. Anyway, she let me drive it. I got to drive it one time. So I could tell you about that.
Okay, and I also have another story from my parents' lake house, and this one involves Ike, and I also starred this on my treasure map. This is the story about Ike between the boat and the pier. It was a really scary story, so I'm going to put that down.
And then also I was thinking of my treasure map, my parents' house, we had a light pole, and so I could tell you about how I learned how to ride a bike, and it involved a light pole.
Okay, and I have the story that involves candy corn in my car that you would not want to miss. So I'm going to put that on my list. I'm going to say candy corn in the car. It's a very gross story.
Oh no, I don't know if I like gross stories. All right, last on my person, place, thing, and idea events, I would tell you about a softball game that I was in, and I was playing catcher.
Okay, and my last story that I'm going to put on this list is about my old dog. His name is Quincy. And Quincy was a very ornery dog, and he was always getting into so much trouble. He was literally so naughty that I don't even know how he lived to be 17 years old. So I have the story about Quincy with a pacifier, and it's not good. It did not end well.
It doesn't end well. And you know what, Mrs. Wolf, I know Quincy, and I knew Quincy too, so I easily could add Quincy to my list because I have Quincy stories too. All right, so what you're gonna do today, we are taking our journal. You just saw me do this. We're gonna look at each of our lists, so our heart map, our treasure map, our memory hand. We're gonna look at each of those, and you're going to star places that you think, aha, I know I could write a story about this. And then we want you to make a list. We both came up with 5. If you could do a list of 5, that would be awesome.
Okay, and so I have my person, place, thing idea chart in my notebook. So I'm just gonna turn to the next blank page, and I'm gonna write writing ideas at the top. And there they are. There's all 5 of them. Okay, we can't wait to see yours.